Y'all, season 3 of Girl Call Me with Tanya and Jessica is all about community.
Because listen, in a world that's getting wilder by the day, one thing we know for sure, we can't do this alone.
And this season, we're diving into how we show up for each other, build our circles, and find joy, no matter what's going on in this crazy world.
And of course, we're bringing our usual mix of real talk, hot topics, and deep conversations because you know we have things to discuss.
And as always, we're keeping it raw, keeping it funny, and keeping it real. Because if we can't be honest here, then girl, call me later.
So grab your tea, get comfy, and get ready for a season full of laughs, love, and the kind of conversations you need in your life.
It's season 3, and we're just getting started. Calm down. All I have to say is, where them fans at? Where them fans at? Now, my question is, do I have to pay for the rights that I just sang that in the beginning of our episode?
Yes. Yes. Unless you just apologize. And then
I would apologize ahead for all those, but I am really excited. I don't know about you, but I'm really excited. You know why I'm
about
excited?
Beyonce?
Girl,
what do you mean? Look at my hat.
Okay, Cowboy Carter. Okay, for those who can't see her, because this is a podcast, she's wearing a Cowboy Carter hat. Yes, I have tickets. I've got my outfit. I will be posting some inspos, but my inspos were a little bit drama. I went from all red to all white, and now I'm in all denim. The fan came in. The cowboy hat is here, girl, and I got good front teeth. I got good front seat tickets that are
good front teeth for the show.
Good front. First of all, these teeth are mine. I got good teeth. Oh, no, I'm really excited, Miss Beyonce Knowles Carter.
That would be the auntie. Oh, sorry. Beyonce's coming to town, but that would be the most auntie comment ever. If you were like, I got my good teeth for this show.
First of all, that was not what I meant to say. But I want to say one thing before we kind of get into our topic and talk about some other shenanigans happening. Yeah, have you been seeing Tina? Tina is on her book tour. Oprah was crying with her, I think.
Matriarch.
I loved it. I love the stories.
Read the book?
Girl, no. What time do I have? I have not read the book. I've been reading it.
I loved it. I loved it.
I loved the interviews. I love to see her talk about finding love again, talk about her finding just herself. And that really just tells us that at any age, regardless, we're all kind of evolving, constantly evolving as women.
Yeah, I love that. I have not watched a whole lot of her clips. I mean, I did see, her cancer, stage 1 diagnosis and cancer journey, which shout out to her for getting, like so many of us, getting back on the bus after COVID and getting and lining up those appointments. So if everyone needed your reminder that, like, if you haven't been to the doctor in a couple years, go back. So
what a great lesson. What a lesson that was, because I think how many of us really kind of was like, oh, I'm so nervous, so I didn't go back. I didn't get my mammogram. And then you forgot to get your mammogram.
Yeah.
And, what did she say? If she had gone the year before, it would have been 0. But thank God it was only 1.
Yeah.
Stage 1.
And I think it's, for a lot of us, the time goes by fast. So you're like, oh yeah, I think I just got it last year. And the next thing you know, you're like, oh, actually it was, 18 months, 36 months. So good reminder for us all to go. But also good reminder, what I loved about her kind of love story and what she shares about her own like self-love story is it's like, yes, she could find love again, but then she also found herself again. And so she's had 2 very wonderful, fulfilling relationships, but that doesn't mean that's your end all, and that's where she's supposed to end up.
Right.
So yes, she's a powerful woman. I appreciate her. And look, I don't know, I can't remember if I shared with people that I went out and got some sacred products, and I'm gonna tell you,
you did tell us.
Fire.
Okay. The curls are popping.
Yes, and the polishing, I forget what it's called. Oil, polishing drops is what they're called.
We're not
Amazing.
paid. We're not paid for this.
I
You have
think
a lot of hair.
they pay their reviews, but it's a very good product. Shampoo, deep conditioner, and it's at Ulta, so it's available for people.
I love it. It's accessible
It's not
a little bit.
well, it's still, yeah, I was gonna say
$70 a bottle.
the
It's not
price
as
point.
accessible, but if you're flying first class and you want a braider to get on the plane with you, you're okay. You can afford it.
So yes, that's me, and I like it. So shout out to Miss Tina and Beyonce.
I have just one more thing to talk about.
A bone to pick, it
And
sounds like.
it's not a bone. It's actually just, we often say believe Black women, listen to Black women. I'm going to give Monique a shout out because Monique told Shannon Sharp that he should find himself a 50-year-old woman that can cook some cornbread and make some pork chops. And instead, he found himself a 19-year-old, and now he's canceled.
I like how you said a 19-year-old, as if we think that really he found one 19-year-old. I'm gonna go ahead and say
there's only one accusation today, but I want to only one.
There's one accusation of inappropriate behavior. Yeah, I think there's something to Monique. I'm gonna give it to sis.
You know,
I don't know about the cornbread. I don't know about the cooking cornbread and
what her
find
point
you a woman
was,
who cooks, but
I think her whole point was find yourself a woman your age at 54. Find yourself a 50-year-old auntie that you guys can live out your life together instead of these 26-year-old ladies.
I'm going to take a different approach to it because I don't care about the age. What I care about is I need you to act the age that you are dating. So, if you are 54 dating a 19-year-old, sir, you couldn't even operate an Instagram live, which gives me uncle vibes. That does not give me 19-year-old vibes. So,
you have to go to the Instagram live, which was the first incident of the year. Wasn't that earlier?
Need you date whoever you'd like, but I need you to take a close look in the mirror and ask yourself, are you ready to date a 19-year-old and what that comes with? And if you're not, step away, sir, and find yourself someone else. Okay?
Well, on that note, I want to just remind everyone to like and subscribe, to continue to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and other platforms. And, let's talk a little bit about rewriting stereotypes, because that's really what we're going to talk about today. We've been talking a little bit about who we are, how we show up, and how we are moving through this world. And Black women continue up and show out, and we continue to outperform areas and places that people wouldn't traditionally see us or people don't want to see us. And we continue to break the stereotypes that existed for us.
Yeah, I was going to say, what I love about Black women is we are that box that was created for us, not by us. I am really inspired by and like to surround myself with women who are helping redefine what that let's not call it box because it doesn't have borders, but what Black women look like and can show up in the world as. I love the rewriting of this story that someone tried to create for us.
Yeah, and for so many years and so many, there's all about, when we think about some of the stereotypes that exist. Well, we've talked about the cape that I know that you and I both have on occasionally, more than not. The strong Black woman, we can do it. I don't need nobody. Don't, I've got this all. We're coming in spaces being the fun entertainment. Let's laugh. We're gonna bring all the fun and the jovial, energy. And also the caretakers. We're always taking care of somebody else and not really thinking about how we're filling our own filling our own cup and taking care of ourselves.
And those can be those are stereotypes are a thing for a reason, right? all three of those things can take up a lot of space.
Mm.
And you because it is just the reality, right, of life for a lot of us. And I think that for us, it's how do we still show up in those spaces that they don't expect us to, right? What we want to talk about today are women who are finding ways to redefine themselves or
Yeah.
maybe even add words to their to the definition of who they are and who they show up in the world as, because they still may be a caretaker and they're surely strong Black women, but
Right. And they still may be entertaining.
right, right, but what are the other ways they're defining themselves and their success? And yeah, I'm excited to kind of for to talk about some of those people who are really flipping that script and entering places where we haven't always been welcomed and taking up space.
When we're thinking about spaces historically that we have been excluded from, the list is long. What are areas that you've seen Black women dominating?
Yeah, well, I always talk about gymnastics. Everyone knows that because I love it. But
Yes. When's the next game?
They don't call them games in gymnastics. They call them meets.
Has
And
meets.
the national
I'm
championship just
always
happened.
learning. The audience should know. I'm always learning. I'm always learning.
But I do think there's something serious to that because gymnastics was not a place that welcomed Black women, and a lot of that had to do with body. A lot of that had to do body size, body shape, you know, muscular tone of Black women's bodies.
Mm.
A lot of that had to do with hair and presentation. A lot of it has to do with tropes of what they would say of kind of how you have to perform for the judge and this kind of pageantry of it all. And gymnastics now is a different place than it was even in the place when in the 96 Olympics team where there was Dominique Dawes. And shout out to my cousin
Mm.
Carissa,
Mm.
who is listening, I'm sure. And she was a college gymnast and an elite gymnast in the national team when growing up in the 90s, and there were not a lot of other Black girls that look like her,
No.
and at all. And when you go to college meets now, if you watch the national championships,
Oh,
every single team has Black women and they're dominating.
yeah.
And
I feel like they're the ones you want to look at least.
right,
You want to
right,
watch because they're kind of giving it
yes.
all. They're giving
And
100%.
these things about their legs, their thighs touch, or they don't have enough grace. Those things are slowly fading away, and we're starting to see real, like, it just so many. Obviously, I mean, we don't have to go down the list of Simone Biles and Jordan Childs
Right.
and Trinity, but yeah, it's a really exciting space, and I'm it makes me love gymnastics even more to really feel like you can go and little girls, we're not going to go back to last episode, but little girls can actually be inspired by what they see in front of them.
Yeah. I think another space, I think we often talk about sports and breaking the barriers, but we really need to, I mean, we have always led when it came to the arts. We've already always led when it came to music. We've already always led when it came to being innovative, when it comes to from jazz to many other forms of expression. But one that we have traditionally been excluded from has been the world of opera, the classical spaces in which in many ways that has always been considered white spaces. So whether it was opera or whether it was ballet with Misty Copeland and opera with Leonte Price, and I know some of the younger sort of opera singers like Pretty Yende. I think that, if you were to look at some of the documentaries, Misty Copeland did an amazing documentary on some of the struggles that she had. And it's similar to what you're talking about. It's the body type. It's traditionally you would think she doesn't. Wow, she looks like a traditional ballerina. But at some of those those schools and some of those, different teachers, she was considered a bigger body. And people would say, you're never going to be a master ballerina. You're never going to have that stage. And so it was a fight, and the amount of struggles that she had to go in order to be accepted. I think in many ways, she's still one of the only prima ballerinas that exists. I think there are some other ones that are coming up, but that is another area that in some ways traditionally we've been kind of kept out of, but yet we shine when we're actually allowed to go in those spaces.
Yeah. And we'd be remiss if we didn't, although it's not a Black woman, if we didn't acknowledge Ryan Coogler today, because
Ah,
sc-
sinners.
screenwriting,
Whew.
screenwriting and
Thank
is
you.
and horror. I mean, I think Jordan Peele also and Ryan Coogler have really
Yeah.
shown that not only Black male screenwriters, but
Yeah.
Black casts can work
Yeah.
internationally, right? That's always been the case of like, oh, well, they have great stories, but will it have, studio success and international success? So I
Yeah.
think shouting both of them out is important.
I think we have to. I've seen the movie, and I will say one of the things that sort of stood out, one is the beauty and just the artistry of this film, the music. But it's also something he said recently in an interview is that he's done Panther, he did Creed, he's done several top box office hits. And yet they're still saying, even after he did Panther, you're a Black director. You're the best of the Black as the Black director. Instead of reality is he's the best, he has had the highest grossing film, period. But they're not really acknowledging that. They want to put the fact that he's a Black director. And then some of the conversations that have happened in the last, I would say the last week, and the deal that he made, that he is going to own a part of his own film, has been controversial because most Black people don't do that. But I will say that if you haven't gone to see Sinners, go support it. Go watch it. I'm actually planning to see it again because I know I missed something. But yeah, that's a great shout out.
Yeah. And I think the challenge with a comment like calling him a Black director is not, I mean, there's lots of things that are problematic, but I think one
The
thing that is
box.
really hard you have to think about for individuals in those spaces is they're not just that's not just a dig on him, that's a dig on all of us. That's saying you're a Black director, you attract Black audiences, we don't care so much about them, they aren't enough people, they only, they're boxing us in as an
Mm-hmm.
audience and as a community at the same time, and that's the weight that now he's carrying, right? They're saying to him like, oh,
Right.
you only make movies for those type of people, and we don't really care that much about those type of people. So
Right.
I think for people like him and like Jordan Peele and Ava DuVernay who keep
Mm.
doubling down on,
Trying.
you can call me what you want, but I'm going to keep telling these Black stories that are going to resonate with Black people and everyone else. Mm, like I think there's a lot of power in that, and we should all be those people who are paving the way. That's a long and hard road that they're often on by themselves.
Yes. Every day, on day, all day.
Yeah. So how do we okay, so let's go from here, these places where we have been breaking into these areas and succeeding, and we've seen kind of whether it's been years or decades of work. I thought it'd be fun if we could just talk about some places right now where we're seeing an uptick, and we're kind of at the bubble time of like, oh, we're about to take this over too. We're about to
What
take
else
over
are
this
we
space
taking? We're
too.
taking right. What else are we taking over? I mean, I
Right.
think the one area, I love a good spirit. And I don't mean the spirits that
Of the Lord. You don't
I
mean
don't
the spirit of
I
the
mean,
Lord?
I don't mean the spirit of the I mean, I love the spirit of the Lord. Please, Lord, don't strike me. But I do like a Sunday drink. Maybe it's a
Yeah.
mimosa
I'm gonna
or
pause you.
maybe
I'm gonna
it's a
pause you. You sound like you're going to the doctor. How many days a week do you drink? Oh, sir, just Sundays. That's
just
it.
Sundays, doctor. Just Sundays.
I shouldn't have even
But
said
no,
sir. Sis, just Sunday.
how my this Sunday. I will say I love a good spirits. And I have been supporting some of our sisses who own spirits. And I think one is McBride Sisters.
Hmm.
I think when they first came out, I think everybody got that as a gift. McBride Sisters. That,
McBride
that was
sister.
it. There was one. Everyone got that wine. Whether it was, I think they have a really good white wine. It's a really good brand. And it's been great to see how much they've kind of blown up almost.
Oh, yeah, and wineries, I mean, we live in California,
Yes.
so
Yes.
wineries is, I would say, I wouldn't, it's kind of when you live here, you don't think it's like a big part of culture here, but it is. I mean, how many vacations do we go on to
Yeah,
Noma or
Napa.
Napa, Sonoma?
Yeah.
Even people go out here in
Girl
Temecula and
Temecula.
Paso, all of those places. But when you talk about wineries, we're talking about over 11,000 in the
You're right.
US. 1% are Black owned.
Mhm. Mhm.
So that's less than 1,000, excuse me, less than 100 establishments. That's less than 100 establishments. So if you've gone to 3 or 4, I think there's a tasting room in Sonoma,
Yeah.
that's great too. I'm
Yeah.
forgetting the name. We'll post it.
I
But,
can't remember the name, but when I was there a couple years ago.
yeah, because the McBride Sisters, as you call out, like, they're the largest Black
Right.
winery now, or wine company, I should say, an establishment, and, by volume, and their wine is great, and we should continue to support
Yeah.
other anytime you're going wine tasting, make everybody look up what are the Black wineries, are there Black wineries, or
Right.
make a trip just around Black wineries.
Yes. Yes.
That's, not that we're encouraging you to drink, but go drink that black
Listen,
that black
so
wine.
we might need to be drinking more than we usually do because it's been stressful. So yes,
Right.
sip if you
Sip
can.
sip,
I
girl.
know I might be one that loves a good wine, a good champagne, but I know you love your brown liquor.
I
So
do.
what are your favorite brown liquors?
Uncle Near well, okay, I have been
My
on a
best friend also loves her Uncle Nearest. So, it's
look,
not, I'll say that I'm familiar.
I mean, most people Sir Davis, how could I not? Now this sounds like a full Beyoncé plug. It's not necessarily.
We
But
really
I
don't
will
mean to
tell
have
you
every episode be Beyonce, Beyonce, Beyonce.
but I will tell you Sir Davis is very good. I've had,
Is it?
yes, I've had a couple
Okay.
bottles, not in one sitting,
You
but,
the hair and the liquor and now the book, the Tina, and then you can listen to the song. You have a full day. You have a full day, a Sunday.
look, Beehive, Beehive, it is the lifestyle. No, but it is Sir Davis is very good. I love it.
Okay.
But Uncle Nearest is top of my list. I
Nice.
absolutely love Uncle Nearest. Fawn Weaver, shout out, founded in 2017. It's the best-selling African American owned spirit brand.
Yeah.
I love doing with Uncle Nearest too. Every single time I'm ordering a drink somewhere, I ask if they have it first. And then they go, "Oh no, what's that?" Tell your bartender about it. Because if they don't
Right.
have it, I want them to have it.
Yes. I love that.
And the other thing that is amazing that is near and dear to my heart is at Uncle Nearest, they make a point of trying to keep an all-female executive team, which
I
is
love
like
that.
words that like makes my heart swell. Having women leaders because women are changing the world and will continue to, and women are incredibly powerful leaders. That's why I love women's sports. Shout out women's sports. But
Always.
always, but yeah, I mean that's a team, an all executive team running a black brand of brown liquor. How could I not be drunk all the time?
Oh, Lord Jesus. We're not
No, that's the
encouraging it,
question.
although
I'm not drunk
you're
all the
not,
time. You
but
should
you
be
might win.
asking yourself, how am I not drunk all the time?
You should have a
Because
flask with
it's all
Uncle
my
Nearest.
things. It's
You're
all my
right, right. It's
things.
all your thing. And I will say, although like I said, I'm more of the wine girl, but between Uncle Nearest, the brown liquor, the tequila, we kind of give a little bit of a shout out to Tea Capri Tequila, founded by Tiffany Capri. It is actually the first tequila brand owned by a Black woman. And when you really think about industry representation, Black folks, us, represent about 12% of the alcohol consumers, but account for only 7.8% of the industry labor force,
Yeah.
2% executives. So come on.
Look, I think it's a place though that we're creeping up. And honestly, you can thank
We're
athletes for
creeping up.
that too. We have a lot of
Yes,
athletes who are
we
stepping
have.
into the
Yeah.
liquor space. Uh,
And music and people in
Um,
music.
a lot of tequila, right? We'll see.
A lot of tequila. A lot of
Yeah.
tequila.
So yeah, but it's a space that it's a fun and good way to continue to get the names of these brands out there. Go ahead and
And so
drink your
next
drink
time you're making a margarita, next time you're
or
asking
an
for
old
an old
fashioned.
fashioned, Next time you're getting that mimosa, ask for these brands and support.
Drink black.
Jesus Christ.
Drink black.
First of all, drink
responsibly. And black. Responsibly black.
I'm rooting for everybody.
Black. Yes.
So, when we're thinking about other spaces, there's been a lot going on. And
a lot going on where?
I don't, girl, in the world.
We're living on Easy Street.
We're easing on down the road. Are we? Where am I?
Our president just wore a blue suit to the Pope's funeral.
Girl, somebody cut that out because I don't
know. We're not. Facts live here.
Okay. I will say more and more we need good politicians that are actually in the fight, because guess what? I'm still 92%. I'm still on break. I'm not fighting right now, but I need our sisses who are standing up and, and I think political leadership, although it's been hard and challenging for many of our Black women, particularly, it's been great to see mainly the Black women in the political spaces sitting up and standing up, like Jasmine Crockett. Ayana, always.
Girl, Ayana went to El Salvador. Did you see her down there?
She went to go see and said, and wanted to visit to see how these people are doing. And the fact that she actually took that trip and, stood on business. And I think these are the women that are standing on business. Cori Bush. And I think, I will put AOC in that mix in the sense of she's not a Black woman, but I support her as a younger politician that to me has always spoke truth.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think that, Black women in leadership, I think we should all, you talked about a lot of our state and our state and federal officials
with tight wigs. The wigs are, I'm not.
Well, we also have a lot of Black women as mayors.
Yes.
Karen Bass, girl, never met someone who toured a fire zone with Air Force Ones on, but
okay, you were so stuck on those Air Force Ones. This is supposed to be highlighting and elevating our shine. We're shining to shine the whole episode.
All I'm saying is she stuck with who she was. She stayed true to her identity. So
she did.
Shout out to her personal shopper. But all jokes aside,
and there's a lot of Black mayors.
We're talking about major cities with Black mayors. Yeah, we got Karen Bass. We got London Breed in San Francisco.
Yeah.
New Orleans, LaToya Cantrell. And Washington, D.C., Muriel Browser.
Love her.
Charlotte.
Always standing on business.
Yeah, Charlotte has Vi Lyles. So a lot of Black women in those mayoral seats. And even though she's not in an elected role right now, we would be wild to not mention our girl Stacey Abrams, because
Stacey's always working in the background.
Most of these people are in their spaces because of what Stacey Abrams is doing for them actively in terms of the work she does in voting and redlining and the advocacy work she does in those spaces. So, notably, we still have not had a Black woman as governor of any state. That's a significant gap. I'd like to see, look, you never know. Kamala could be California's governor. Thoughts?
She could.
I know you love that Newsom hair. You know
what? No, I'm done with Newsom. I broke up with, you know what? Hair can't save you when you decide to turn on, particularly trans folks. And particularly hair is not going to save you when you decide to put your values against your political aspirations. Okay. So he can go.
Neck was comfortable.
Him and his hair can go back to where he's gonna go. But yes, I completely support our vice president in whatever she decides to do next. She's been out here reminding people that she was right.
Governor of California.
It's not bad. It's not a bad job, right? It's not a good, I mean, it would be a tight one. It would be a tight one. I think she actually has a good chance if she decides to do that. I prefer that over her putting herself through 2028.
Oh, girl. No, please. Okay. That, no. I can't take that.
I would prefer her to think about that. But there is also, we haven't mentioned the Attorney General of New York.
Yeah,
I love
what is her first name?
James.
Letitia.
Letitia James. Letitia James. I will say she loves coming for necks. She gives lesson in coming for people's necks and coming for Trump's necks. Because when she said, I have stuff to do because I love a lawsuit. Y'all know I love a lawsuit.
She's been standing her ground. She's like, and what?
Come for me. Put me in jail. Put me in jail.
I mean, she's been at this for years. So people been quitting. She's like, no, I'll be elected in again and I'll keep doing this work.
Yes. Okay? And so I want to say,
I almost voted fake. Because they keep
Did you say voted fake?
Well, yeah, they keep me on these New York voting things, even though I told them I haven't lived there in 10 years. I almost did just to get that bubble for her. Like, girl,
could we not get arrested? Because
I did not check my votes. I dare someone to waste some time checking my votes.
Okay. Please. I will say that as of 2025, Black women held probably about 27 seats in the U.S. House of Representatives, reflecting ongoing progress, which is really good.
Yes.
I will say Black women also occupy about 383 state seats. And so, but I think that your point about governorship, your point about, Miss Vice President Kamala Harris being in the first would be that'd be a nice look. Right. That would be a nice look.
Right. Yeah. I'm into it.
I'm into it. Girl, I'm not sure I'm ready to give money. I'm ready to vote. I'm ready.
Should we be the first to release a Kamala for governor, a California governor t-shirt? Merch? No? We're not there yet.
Whoa, are we doing that? Are we doing soft like Vixen, Kamala for governor? Is that what we're doing?
Oh God, maybe.
Listen, she's a soft like Vixen right now. You see her living, the hair's flowing. She's looking healthy.
She's cooking. She was probably at the Lake Crusette, like
right.
Sale.
She's in New York, kind of, schmoozing out, raising money.
Yeah. Anyway, Doug's smiling for the cameras.
Doug is always smiling. Doug is
he loves a smile. He loves a smile.
There's good white men out there, and he's one.
You know what? I like those videos sometimes that you see that are like always like at a black wedding or something, or like
there's always one,
like a black day party or something, and then you see like a white guy who was like really getting it, or like one of those workout classes, and he's like getting it, and every comment's like he could come to the barbecue, he could come to the cookout, I'm in, and
we always invite one. There's always one.
No, Doug is their like that's their guy. He's like he gets an invite all the time, every time.
Before we move on,
because Doug could dance, by the way. I know he can. I'm sure.
I'm not getting caught up with Doug's his abilities.
I'm just saying.
Say, there's one person I do want to say before we move on, and that is our forever FLOTUS.
Girl, speaking of coming for necks, she's gotten. No one should have given her she had a podcast before all this. I used to listen to it.
Michelle Obama, forever FLOTUS. Let's acknowledge.
With her girlfriends, she used to have a podcast, and I loved it. But this new podcast she has with her brother.
This new one is different.
Because her first podcast, I think Barack was still in office, or maybe he was just leaving.
No, he was just leaving. This was when she was like she was still trying to fall within the line.
Right. But this one, she's like, listen, what do you want to know?
She said she's
like, what do you want to know?
Love and hip hop. When she started talking about her love of love and hip hop, and she knew the characters,
I
said her brother was like stressed. You could tell that, like, when that brother's embarrassed, like side eye embarrassed. But yeah, I want to give her a big shout out. Because no, she will never be your president, but she is always going to be your favorite FLOTUS. And she will always be my favorite FLOTUS, regardless She's
Of
always
what?
going to be my favorite. Nothing. Of
Oh,
nothing.
okay. Just checking.
I love her. I love her. I need her to not come for Barack's neck, for President Obama's neck, though.
No,
She
I
does.
like it.
She does keep
It's
coming for him because
who
she's like,
cares?
you better
They've
be
been
happy. You better be happy to be married to me because I'm sick. You put me through this for 8 years. Like
I'm
she's still bitter.
sorry.
She's still bitter.
Now you're kind of black woman bitter.
Oh,
I will not stand.
But
We're not cutting that. We're not cutting
I'm
that.
not, what
I
I'm
won't
saying
stand for
is,
that. No, she's been married to a man for 30 years who
here
has
we go.
put her through some stuff. She's allowed to talk real about it.
He
He
did
wanted
not.
to sit up.
Okay,
What?
we're
His
not going to
career.
argue. We're
Him
not. Okay.
saying, we're about to go, so, this whole life you're living, that's great. Now we're about to do, you're going to be the face that people hate and talk about.
Gardening.
And
You're going to
for
be
your
gardening.
whole, and like your whole existence is now put up for everyone else to
And
comment
she was
on.
a woman with a career from Princeton and who
Yes,
had,
girl.
and
And
so
she couldn't say anything about him for 8 years. The Secret
didn't.
Service probably wouldn't even let her. His press, as soon as she probably came out of her mouth, the press secretary was like, ma'am, please.
Now
Ma'am.
she's just like,
Now she's like,
look, he gets on my nerves. He's
I am
annoying.
fine with that, girl. Thank you. Thank you for normalizing.
And I hate
us
all of
not.
you. And I hate all of you.
Thank you for normalizing that humans are flawed, even including
Right.
the people that we choose to spend our lives with.
Right. Poor J-Sil.
No, girl, please. Look, I don't subscribe to that. I like her straight talk. Now,
let's keep going. So, it's been, we still have work to do. I mean, I think we talked, we talked about the spirits, we talked about our folks in the arts, and we've talked about the political spaces, but there are other spaces that we are trying to crack the code of, and it's been challenging.
Yeah, it is. And I think one place that I've been really inspired, I was fortunate enough I went to an event last year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In Martha's Vineyard. By the way, the vineyard's coming up again. It's vineyard season.
It is.
I went to an event for black women, and it's black women in VC. And venture capital is a place where black people, but black women in particular, are really still underrepresented. And there's a lot of challenges, obviously, for anyone who works in or near venture capital. Like, it's cutthroat to say the least. And it's obviously a lot of people who have lots and lots of money, which we're getting there, but historically has not been people of color, black people of color, I should say. So whether that's like you're black and working in venture, or you're a venture capitalist yourself, or you're someone who's looking to secure funding from VC, it's a tough place. In 2022, black women received 0.39% of all venture capital funding, which is, and that's, black women are the fastest growing group of entrepreneurs, one of the fastest. And so entrepreneurs seeking funding to be 0.39% means, of course, we're doing it on our own and finding other ways to get our projects funded. But that number is kind of abysmal. And I think that black startups generally in the US don't receive a lot of money. So women or men, right? We're talking about in 2024, 228 million in funding, which again represented about 0.3% of the $79 billion invested in US-based startups. So that is
right.
And these policies where we basically call everything DEI now.
Right.
You feel
think about the fearless thing. Right. You think about the Fearless Fund. What happened with the Fearless Fund last year, right?
Right.
In the sense of, if you say that you're going to support black businesses, you may not be able to say that anymore. Although we are, like you said, 0.39%, they still want us to be 0%. That's just the facts, right?
Or if you're a black founder and you check a box that says you're of color, and maybe you are trying to come up with something that is to support other people that look like you can't say that in a lot of spaces now and still get the same level of funding. Certainly not government funding. I mean, that's out the door. So when we talk again about entrepreneurship, when we talk about people who have a great idea, can't get VC funding, now they can't get federal or state funding because of all of these kind of guardrails. That is pinching the Black community and the entrepreneurism where we say we have an idea and we too can pursue this. It's a lot harder. We don't have trust funds, a lot of us. So how do we keep, I think, the foot on the gas in areas that are roadblock after roadblock are being put in front of us? I think that this big wealth transfer that's going to happen from a lot of our boomers to our Gen X's, that is not going to help Black people, by the way. So by the by, it's just going to, the gap between people who have and people who don't is going to just widen. And so we really need to keep our eye on industries like this space, like entrepreneurism, like areas like VC, where how can we start to put our money there and support individuals?
And I think it goes back to, I mean, we look at representation, right? The representation is not there, particularly in those spaces, and particularly making those decisions. But we have to be thinking about, where are we putting our money? We have to think more and more, whether you are a smaller, maybe you have some funds and you would normally give it to this. How can we, the royal we, support other people who are trying to be entrepreneurs? What kind of collective actions can we do in order? And I think those are some of the things that are happening right now, right? There are collective actions happening with the Black community in order to support spaces and entrepreneurs, because where else are we going to get the funds from?
Right. Especially early stage funding, right? And early stage funding, and that's across the board. I mean, that's in businesses, that's in research. Early stage funding is the hardest to get generally. And so how can we, and we're talking about this, I think this topic may sound for some out of reach, but it's not, because early stage funding for somebody could be $5,000. It could be $1,500.
Could be 10,000, right? It could be $500
right.
if they need, like, what depends on what they need. Maybe they need a website. Maybe they need a little bit of startup funds. It really, I think sometimes we think these larger funds, oh, they need $1 million. No, for many small entrepreneurs and small businesses, it could be something that's attainable for in support, and it's really also hard to get. Because I know I've looked at a lot of different grants for a lot of different things, and more I'm seeing less and less of them.
Yeah. I think the other place that is, which we see this in kind of our line of work, I think the professionals who work in investment banking, the professionals who work at VCs, so the individuals who are out there making decisions about where funds should invest, there are not a lot of Black individuals in that role. And that I think is not for the lack of people wanting to be in VC roles. I think that's a little bit like we've seen in fundraising where, well, if you're going to be going out there and talking to individuals who have money, they don't necessarily look like you and this is when DEI like turns the other way. It's like they don't believe in inclusion right until it's like, well, will someone really be able to have a conversation with you if you didn't come from money and you don't understand it? It's like, oh, so you're telling me that this rich man feels comfortable talking to another rich white man. Guess what that's called? I digress. But the more people that can get in this profession, that is only going to help with representation and help just help more people see themselves in this community.
Yeah. I will think that there are some notable progress and there are some notable people. I think some milestone achievements. I mean, when you think about it, we mentioned it briefly, between 2021 and 2023, 71 Black women raised about $1 million or more in venture funding. unicorn funders. As of 2025, 8 Black and Latino female funders have led startups that achieve variation within exceeding like $1 billion. So there is highlighting the potential for significant impact when you get adequate support. So I think that, and there are lots of Black billionaires out there who are supporting and putting their funding into smaller opportunities to help the next generation.
Yeah. And when we talked about Health in Her Hue a couple of in our first season a lot.
Yeah.
Health in Her Hue is a great example of a digital platform that's supporting Black women, and they have raised quite a bit of money through venture and started by a Black woman. I think the folks who have billion-dollar valuations, we should post some of those women because they're doing amazing work. Yeah, I think yes, we'd love to talk to some people about having been and succeeded, or maybe not succeeded, in spaces that they didn't feel like were really welcoming to them. I would love to have those stories. I think there's, we talked about different areas today, but there's a ton of different professional spaces and social spaces. And girl, we didn't even talk about the country clubs. So that could be a whole episode in itself. So I think there's a lot of places where we would love to talk to individuals and hear their stories. I think all of us are.
Yeah. And those who aren't succeeding. I think I'd love to talk to people who decided to pivot away from those spaces to be that soft life vixen.
Or maybe not be a soft life vixen, pivot away from the space and maybe chosen to be the person who's going to change the space, just not from sitting within it. Right?
Okay, girl. I like that.
So thank you for listening to us talk today and be the entertaining Black stereotype women we are.
Like, subscribe, listen, share.
Let us be your Black bestie.
We are. We know we are. And have a good week.
Hey, it's Jessica. Thanks for listening to Girl Call Me. If you have something to add or a story to share, come on over to Instagram or Facebook and join the conversation. Also, make sure you follow and subscribe Girl Call Me. You don't want to miss when we release new episodes. Thanks for listening.